There exists a secret method that Japanese auto experts have quietly trusted for decades, yet remains virtually unknown across the Western Hemisphere. This isn't an overpriced spray, it isn't a commercial chemical sealant, and it's definitely not one of those heavily advertised products on store shelves that consistently underdeliver. What we're talking about is a naturally occurring substance known for millennia, derived directly from sheep, and costs less than your morning cup of coffee. When I say it stops corrosion permanently, I'm not hyping a product. I'm stating results backed by empirical studies, rigorous testing, naval fleets, and massive national infrastructure projects that have depended on it for over 50 years. If you own a daily vehicle, motorcycle, bicycle, toolbox, exterior hardware at home, or really any metal item you'd rather not see disintegrate into reddish-brown flakes over the coming winters, this is information you need to absorb. What I'm about to reveal will completely transform how you approach rust prevention. But first, we need to understand why oxidation is so destructive and why the conventional solutions often fail. Rust isn't just a cosmetic nuisance, it's an electrochemical process that begins the instant steel or iron encounters water and oxygen. This reaction gnaws at the material from within. It does not pause, it does not stabilize, it relentlessly progresses, creeping under paints and coatings. By the time it appears on the surface, the deeper layers have already suffered severe damage. In regions with high humidity, coastal areas, or where winters bring salted roads, this deterioration speeds up 3 to 5 times. A car's vital frame components can suffer catastrophic structural damage in less than 10 years if left unprotected. These are not exaggerations. They are verified statistics from vehicle inspection agencies in Nordic countries, where rust remains one of the main reasons cars are condemned to the scrapyard. So, how do we normally defend against it? We paint the surface. We grab aerosol rust preventatives from the hardware store. We smear thick automotive waxes. We invest in chemicals claiming to convert rust into an inert barrier. Or perhaps we opt for powder coating or galvanization for specific parts. Each of these methods serves its purpose, no doubt. But every single traditional approach shares the same fatal weakness. They rely on rigid protective layers. And what happens to rigid barriers over time? They fracture, chip, and peel. They form tiny gaps along edges, allowing water to sneak inside. Once this occurs, corrosion silently continues beneath the shield. You've likely seen this on classic vehicles. The paint looks immaculate until suddenly a blister forms on the fender. Press it, and you uncover a vast, hollowed-out pit of rust underneath. This disaster arises because the inflexible coating trapped moisture inside while refusing to let it escape. This is exactly where anhydrous lanolin changes everything. Lanolin is a wholly natural wax secreted by sheep's skin glands. In the wild, it coats their wool, shielding them from relentless rain, freezing winds, and harsh environmental extremes. Sheep spend their entire lives outdoors, exposed to conditions that would corrode most man-made materials, yet their fleece remains intact. It's no accident. The lanolin forms a highly water-repellent, flexible layer that resists cracking, does not peel, and completely prevents moisture intrusion. When the water content is removed from raw lanolin during refinement, what remains is anhydrous lanolin, a pure, highly concentrated form that acts as an exceptionally powerful shield for metal surfaces. The cost? Typically between $1 and $4, depending on where you purchase it and how much metal you need to cover. Yes, that's correct. Now consider why automotive technicians in Japan are so renowned for this technique. Japan experiences some of the most punishing conditions for exposed metal on Earth. Japanese mechanics contend with relentless coastal humidity, heavy seasonal downpours, salty ocean breezes, and northern regions that aggressively salt roads each winter. Even so, inspecting vehicles maintained by Japanese experts over decades, particularly within classic car communities and long-standing rural garages, reveals a deeply ingrained culture of lanolin-based rust protection. This knowledge isn't broadcast on television. It is an inherited craft secret, raw and unvarnished. The most senior members in these workshops understand that the inexpensive, modestly impressive trick is frequently the most enduring solution. Lanolin perfectly exemplifies this principle. But this isn't merely anecdotal. Documented evidence stretches far back and spans large-scale applications. During World War II, military engineers urgently sought a dependable, permanent corrosion barrier for equipment operating in oppressive, moisture-laden jungles. They tested lanolin formulations against synthetic alternatives. The results were decisive. Lanolin dominated extended extreme humidity tests with overwhelming success. After the war, several naval forces, including the Royal Australian Navy and segments of the American military supply network, adopted lanolin treatments to protect everything from deck rigging to ammunition storage. Verified accounts exist of lanolin-coated components being dismantled after 20 years in harsh saltwater conditions, showing virtually no rust. Beyond military use, civil engineering in New Zealand and Australia has applied lanolin to highway bridges and structural underbellies for decades, consistently passing independent corrosion inspections with exemplary results. What gives lanolin this advantage over conventional canned products? The secret lies in its chemical interaction with both metal and moisture. Unlike a superficial coat of paint, lanolin penetrates deep into the microscopic grooves and irregularities of metal surfaces. It establishes a widespread, low-tension bond, occupying every invisible pocket where condensation could otherwise gather. Its molecular structure is intensely hydrophobic, actively repelling water instead of passively resisting it like a rigid barrier. The most remarkable property, however, is self-repair. If a stone scratches a lanolin-coated chassis, the surrounding wax gradually flows back, sealing the exposed area. It isn't a brittle shell that shatters under impact. Instead, it functions as a dynamic, adaptive shield. Moreover, lanolin never cures or dries out over time, a trait crucial for moving parts, threaded fasteners, mechanical joints requiring future disassembly, or any metal that naturally expands and contracts with temperature changes. Have you ever tried to loosen a nut on a chassis that spent 10 years exposed to road salt and moisture? Often, it is impossible. The threads have fused into a solid mass. Yet a fastener coated with lanolin before installation can be unthreaded a decade later as easily as if it were brand new. Technicians working on aging trucks in severe winter climates immediately recognize this advantage. They are not just slowing decay. They are ensuring that machines can be serviced without risking broken parts. The practical applications of lanolin extend far beyond automobiles. On a car, the entire underbody should be treated. Every exposed bracket beneath the hood, door latches, visible nuts and bolts, tow hooks, brake caliper mountings, battery posts, and every junction of dissimilar metals where galvanic corrosion is especially aggressive. Motorcycles benefit similarly. Treat the drive chain, sprockets, and all lower hardware for maximum protection. Garden tools, if wiped with lanolin before winter storage, emerge looking practically new in spring. Bicycles ridden in wet conditions, particularly around the headset and bottom bracket, experience dramatically extended operational life. Beyond vehicles, lanolin proves invaluable for outdoor fixtures, deck screws, patio furniture, gate hardware, and fence hinges. Anything exposed to the elements benefits from a coating. Applying it is incredibly simple. Warm the substance slightly, either by leaving the container in a heated room or briefly directing a heat gun onto the metal. Slight warmth allows the lanolin to spread effortlessly. Then you simply wipe it on. Use a paintbrush, shop rag, or even your bare hands, ensuring an even coat across all surfaces. That's the entire process. No specialized sprayers are required. No protective suits are necessary. Lanolin is completely non-toxic. It's the same ingredient found in lip balms and skincare creams, making it perfectly safe to handle with bare hands. Once applied, the protective layer lasts anywhere from several months to multiple years, depending on exposure. In coastal or high-friction environments, an annual reapplication is advisable. In milder conditions, a single application may suffice for years. Many ask whether lanolin is compatible with painted surfaces or other finishes. The short answer: it is designed for bare metal or components, where long-term preservation takes precedence over showroom appearance. Spread across glossy panels, it leaves a sticky, greasy residue that must be buffed away. Lanolin is intended as a guardian for hidden structural and working parts rather than as a finish over clear coats. Some dedicated restorers, however, apply an ultra-thin layer behind wheel arches or side skirts as a discreet secondary defense, ensuring these areas remain out of sight. There's also a liquefied aerosol form of lanolin, increasingly popular in agriculture and maritime industries. Products marketed as Lanex, Lanc Overseas, or generic agricultural lanolin aerosols excel at reaching spots unreachable with a brush. Electrical connectors, intricate mechanical linkages, and the deep hollow sections of boxed vehicle frame rails can be treated with this fine mist. It penetrates the tightest cavities, making it a superior tool for rust-proofing hollow rocker panels and door pillars, areas where condensation accumulates and structural decay often begins.